So Cartier was established in the 1800s, and in my opinion, they're probably one of the most recognizable brands in the luxury segment in the world. But when you're thinking about Cartier, you might be thinking about jewelry. And in my opinion, when it comes to watches, although they have a lot of history, I think they lost their way. What's going on, guys? My name is Anthony, and this is Watch With Me, and today we're gonna go over why I do not like Cartier and my thoughts on it. Before we get into that, of course, a wristwatch check. And today I am wearing my Rolex Daytona. This is the 16528 Zenith Movement yellow gold on the gold bracelet. To be honest with you, I haven't been wearing it that much, and I've been entertaining the idea of actually selling it. So I did start to wear it again, and you know what? As I wear it, I'm kind of like, I don't know if I can let it go, but I'm going to do another video soon of why I might get rid of it, kind of my thoughts on my whole collection in general, so stay tuned for that. But enough of my watch, let's get into Cartier. So as I mentioned, when you think of Cartier, you definitely think of the jewelry as well. They have the gold Cartier love bracelets and love rings that are extremely popular and very famous. It's really just a piece of gold with a couple rivets designed into it, and they charge $6,000 for it. Again, it's the name, but that being said, they are a very reputable brand, and they just started offering an 8-year warranty with their watches, which is fantastic. Obviously, Richemont kind of took that as well, and now it's same with IWC, Jaeger-LeCoultre, and Panerai. They all offer an 8-year warranty, but we're talking about Cartier's watches. So when it comes to Cartier, in my opinion, they make too many watches, and a lot of their watches kind of look like one another. In fact, I'm even drawing a blank on all the names of them because they kind of all should be under one category, but there's obviously the Santos, which is one of the most popular, one of their oldest designs, probably their best selling in the men's collection. There's the Tank, which happens to be my favorite. There's the Drive, there's the Clay, there used to be the Calibre, there used to be the Roadster, and there's so many that I'm losing track. But first and foremost, I think there's too many different collections, and I think that's not always a bad thing, but when it comes to Cartier, they all look like one another. They're all gonna be Roman numerals, they're all gonna be borderline dress watches, and when they come to their sport watches and the Santos, and they're trying to do a DLC and a steel, it's just too much going on, and it cheapens the brand. You know what? If you're gonna focus on more dress watches, go that route. Don't try and half-ass it and make some sport watch as a Santos. In my opinion, it falls short, and there's a reason why they don't last that long, a lot of their sport models. Before I continue to rip on this brand, I will say the Tank Louis in 18 karat gold with a mechanical movement is a fantastic watch, and is probably the only Cartier watch that I would consider buying. Although, if you're going to be going with that style, honestly, I'd probably go with the JLC Reverso. It can be found at the same price point. In my opinion, it has just as much heritage. Originally a sport watch, now more a dress watch. It's probably one of the most unique watches in the world. The fact that it could be flipped over and engraved, or flipped over with another watch. So again, when it comes to Cartier watches for men's pieces, even their good stuff that I like, there's just so much out there that offers so much more. In recent years, I think Cartier is starting to realize that a lot of their pieces that they offered in the past with a quartz movement, they're trying to now establish those same watches with mechanical movements or automatic movements. But that being said, for years, a lot of their watches had quartz movements. Not that there's anything bad with quartz movements, but let's face it, when it comes to the collection and it being a quartz watch, I mean, what are you really paying for other than the aesthetics and the finishing? It's just, if it's a quartz movement, there's not much to it. I don't care what brand's making it, there's not much to it. It cheapens the watch, and I don't care if you're talking about thickness. If you want it to be thin, just put a mechanical movement in there. Cartier is aesthetically driven, and their watches are beautiful, but this market is far too saturated with watch brands, and the consumer is so well informed, you cannot survive on just aesthetics alone. Yes, they have the name, they have brand recognition and brand power, but that is not enough in this segment. In my opinion, the fit and finishing is on a timepiece that you can probably find in the $1,000 range to $3,000 range. Obviously not their gold watches, although they do some, not gold plating, but they'll do a gold case with a steel case back to kind of lower the price point, which I actually don't mind. I think for someone that's looking for a gold watch, I actually don't mind. I think if you can cut down a few $1,000s by just putting a steel case back on the back of the watch, I think it's actually a good idea, so I don't mind that. But that being said, their entry-level stuff at $3,000, I think the fit and finishing of that is really subpar, and it usually can be found to similar watches around $1,000. Cartier in the past has tried to make a sport watch, and I mentioned it in the beginning of this video with some of the Santos pieces, but in my opinion, most of their sport watches that they've come out with, whether it's the Calib in the past with the ceramic bezels, or trying to introduce Santos with the chronographs or an extra large case, it really falls short and it's just missing the mark. Cartier is really known for an elegant everyday watch or even a dress watch, and I think that when they try to do a sport watch, they're really just missing the mark. They tend to be kind of in the past in terms of trends. They're still trying to stick with that, and that's why they don't do well. And when it comes to their dress watches, I think at a similar price point or even less, you can find a much better watch. Even under the same umbrella, you can go to JLC and get a much better watch, in my opinion. And as I mentioned, they're owned by Richemont, so they have Jaeger-LeCoultre, IWC, Panerai, Vacheron Constantin. They have all these amazing brands under the Richemont umbrella. They could easily borrow the technology, they can up their fit and finishing, and really make an amazing watch for a brand that's been around for over 150 years, and they're just really missing the mark. I don't think Cartier is all that bad. Like I said, I do like their jewelry quite a bit, and when it comes to the ladies' watches, I think a Belle and Blue and a 33mm or even a 36mm with a diamond bezel, or the Panther is such a fantastic, elegant watch. And most of the time when women come in and they're looking at comparing different brands, like getting a Rolex Datejust or a Cartier Panther or Belle and Blue, I usually kind of push them more towards the Cartier because I think it's a more unique and a more elegant watch. But where they fall short is trying to transition those pieces and just making it larger for a man. I don't think it works as well. In closing, Cartier is not for me, but that doesn't mean it's not for you. What I would recommend is if you haven't been able to see these pieces in person, please go do so. Try it on, put it on your wrist. Far too often we are going onto YouTube or Instagram and just going with what the masses think and what everyone's collecting and wearing. If you like it and you put it on your wrist and you're okay with the watch, then go for it. This is just my opinion. I would love to know yours. Do you own a Cartier in your collection? And what do you think? Do you think the Cartiers of the past are a bit better to where they currently are today? I do think Cartier is trying to move forward and make more mechanical watches now, and some of the stuff they just released for 2020 looks pretty interesting, but this is just my overall thoughts of the brand. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. A bit shorter, but nonetheless, just my thoughts on Cartier. And that's it, guys. Until next time, take it easy.